Gigantopit. Oh my goodness. You see this word? Gigantopithecus. Pithecis. Gigantopithecus. Hello and welcome to Where in the World the Mwangi Expanse. Whether you're new or a returning Cardinal, welcome to the channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you hear and what you see. The music, ambience, and sound effects you will hear today are brought to you by Artlist.io. Please be sure to check out their services, especially if you're a content creator like myself. If you sign up for a year-long subscription, you get 2 free months if you use my affiliate link down below in the description. With all that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. This video was requested by Oriakin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for the like on the previous video, and I would be more than happy to cover the Mwangi Expanse. As you know, these videos are overviews and readings from the World Guide. But if you stick around or skip forward with the chapters on the bottom of the video, I will be more than happy to give my 2 cents on the region and even toss you some adventure ideas, or like, you know, small adventure ideas, little quests, or full-blown like book, like an adventure path book, dense of an adventure, so that you could fit within your campaign, of course. All right, with all that said, let's go ahead. All right. We have the nations within the Mwangi Expanse. We have the Bloodcove, which the government format or style is a bunch of secret syndicates. Lawful evil alignment. We also have Kibwe, which is a chaotic good aligned settlement made up of a representative council. Then it doesn't say here, but the lake of Ocota is also a major place of interest. We have Mzali, lawful neutral. Its government is comprised of a theocratic dictatorship. Next we have Nantambu, neutral good. Its government is comprised of a democratic council. Then we have Senghor, which its government is comprised of a mercantile council, chaotic good alignment. We have Usaro, chaotic evil. It does not have a government. It is an anarchy, which would be fun. So, and last but not least, we have the capital, or I would say one of the most prominent areas which holds the capital. We have Vidrian, and it is comprised of a representative council. Next, we have the peoples you will find within the Mwangi Expanse. We have the elves, no surprise, in a huge forested continent. There are elves inside of here. We have the Garundi, the Halfling, the Mwangi, and the Taldan. For languages spoken here in the Mwangi Expanse, we have Common, Elven, Garundi, Halfling, and Mwangi. No surprise. For factions, we have the Aspis Consortium, we have the Green Faith, and we have the Magambia. For more information on the Aspis Consortium, be sure to check out the video. Oh yeah, plugged myself. Okay, next we have the religions you might find or the major religions you'll find within the Mwangi Expanse. We have Abadar, Calistria, Gazra, Norgabur, Sarenrae, and Shaylin. The most obvious here, or the most prominent, would definitely be Gazra. No surprise here. Resources within the Mwangi Expanse comprise of books and lore, grain, fruit, vegetables, livestock, hides, lumber, luxury goods, magic items, or seafood, ships, and textiles. It says grain, fruits, and vegetables here. You definitely want to go ahead and add in herbs. Definitely certain plant life, fauna, flowers, just plants, flowers, all things fauna related. There would definitely be unique samples here that would most likely only come from here. So Definitely keep that in mind. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into the overview and the reading. So, we'll start with the overview here. The Mwangi Expanse is a verdant region and a source of legends, tales, and rumors, both inspiring and dire. But its inhabitants are not well known in the rest of the Inner Sea region. The Expanse is rich in beauty, art, and scholarship, and its people toil hard and develop cunning strategies to thrive in an oft hostile environment. It is a land where disparate cultures regularly cross paths, and diverse peoples thrive even amid the region's many dangers. The Mwangi is a region so bountiful and resource-rich that few are ever left hungry or wanting. Ready access to food, water, fiber, and precious materials enabled many of the first Mwangi people to establish their own communities, cities, and even nations in complete isolation from the wider world. The city-states and countries presented here are but a few of the most well-known. Many more communities exist in this immense jungle, some of which have gone centuries without contact with the rest of the Mwangi Expanse, left alone the larger Inner Sea region. The next area we're going to cover is the Bloodcove. This decadent haven for piracy has only become more dangerous as it has grown more wealthy with ill-gotten riches. A political shakeup in the former nation of Sargava, now Vidrian, cut off the steady stream of bribes that kept the pirates near Bloodcove complacent. Lacking funds from Vidrian, the free captains have turned their eyes toward Bloodcove instead. This massive influx of free captains hungry for their own share of Bloodcove's wealth has caused major disruption of power within the Aspis Consortium, a notorious trading ring based in Chiliax, finding it difficult to maintain its once uncontested control of the city. Influence now swings between the current Aspis leaders and the encroaching free captains, leaving the rest of the populace caught in the crossfire of the vying factions. Further complicating the shadow war that regularly spills onto Bloodcove city streets are the colonialist refugees from former Sargava who have begun to throng Bloodcove in the hopes of making a fresh start. This chaotic port is far from kind to newcomers, however. In Bloodcove, subterfuge and shady dealings are the only reliable ways to gain traction amid the ever-swirling social miasma. The city's poor have little to no chance of clawing their way out of the darkest, seediest parts of the cove, and immigrants soon learn that the best way to gain any standing is to ally with either the Aspis Consortium or the Free Captains, though this often requires reevaluating one's moral values. The next area we'll go over is Kibwe. The city of Kibwe is a bastion of trade, nestled in the jungles of the Eastern Expanse. Since time immemorial, traders from the coast have met here with caravans coming from the Ndele Gap, from Nex, Katapesh, and other nations to the east, exchanging goods in Kibwe's sprawling markets and trading news of far-off places. As a result of this mingling, Kibwe has grown not only large and prosperous, but also wildly diverse, with humans, elves, and gnomes rubbing shoulders with giants, lizard folk, kobolds, and other uncommon peoples in the name of commerce. Bargaining is the highest form of art in this city, and as the old saying goes, if you can't find something in Kibwe, it does not want to be found. No one alive today can say for sure who built Kibwe's towering granite walls, though all agree that they predate Holy Extramba, the lost nation that controlled the city centuries ago before falling to demons. Rising thick and impregnable from the surrounding jungle, Kibwe's walls slope inward, their faces covered with thousands of ancient and often indecipherable runes. Inside, the city is a tangle of neighborhoods organized by nationality, ethnic group, or belief system, with first-time visitors sometimes complaining that the predominant language changes every time one crosses the road. Fortunately, the same ancients who built Kibwe's walls also provided a valuable navigational aid: the Pillar Watchers, soapstone statues and idols perched atop high columns, often taking bizarre shapes. Tusked tiger people, or featherless humanoid birds, always armed with swords and shields. The idols are said to stand guard over the city, ready to come alive in the residents' time of greatest need. While locals differ on how much they believe these stories, all can agree that the pillars act as valuable landmarks in the city, where street signs can change languages a dozen times in as many steps. Kibwe maintains a strict neutrality in political affairs in the interest of greater trade. The city-state is governed by a council of representatives appointed by various clans and micro-communities. Public debates are common in the Adanyeki Pavilion, a sacred and petal-strewn common space walled off from the bustle of the market by hanging tapestries and animal hides. Though this representative approach to democracy has historically resulted in a rascous but stable government of late, the council has been hard-pressed by forces within and without. Since the council's recent decision to outlaw slavery, the neighborhood of Backyard Block has roiled on the edge of violence as former slavers plot to reverse this ruling. At the same time, international traders like the Aspis Consortium constantly seek to promote unrest in order to assume control of the city's considerable mining claims and the once small Boamandu camp, the neighborhood devoted to taking in refugees from Usaro, has swollen the immigrants and threatens to overwhelm the city's resources. With so much pressure, it seems like only a matter of time until something breaks. And it's anyone's guess whether Kibwe's patchwork society will band together as one or come apart at the seams. I see what you did there, Paizo. Clever. I see what you did there. Cute. The next section we have is Lake Ocota, rather centrally located within the Expanse. Travelers moving from through the Mwangi do well to fear the beasts that live among the jungle's canopies and waterways. Some of the most treacherous examples of such monsters live in and around Lake Ocota, a massive body of water connecting most of the Mwangi's tributaries. However, even the threat of aquatic monstrosities cannot keep the bravest and most foolhardy from attempting to lay claim to these lush fens, groves, and shorelines surrounding the lake. With the recent death of the Gorilla King distracting the shoreside city of Usaro, Lake Ocota has found itself overrun with entrepreneurs of all kinds. Would-be settlers from across the Mwangi city-states, refugees from former Sargava, and colonialists from distant, resource-hungry kingdoms have swarmed Lake Ocota in hopes of seizing some of the land for themselves. The region is now a hotbed of strife. Settlers clash with one another. The local orcs struggle to remain in their homeland, and demon-tainted forces from Usaro vie to reestablish their haunted city's foothold in the region. Lake Okota's resident orc tribes long ago learned how to deal with the region's dangers and fought hard to establish their own settlements. These orcs have plenty of experience with dealing with Usaro's warriors, and have even devised magical tattoos to ward themselves from Usaro's demonic influences. Now the orcs must struggle tusk and nail to protect their homeland. The next region we have here is Mzali. The temple city of Mzali was once the center of an ancient empire ruled by semi-divine sun kings. Long ago, a powerful group of shamans called the Council of the Mwangi successfully toppled the monarchy. Yet the shamans were unable to hold the state together. Under their rule, the empire crumbled until the Age of the Lost Omens. They barely controlled even the half-empty capital city. Given time, though, Given time, Mzali might even... Given time, Mzali might eventually have been abandoned. Yet a century ago, members of the council received a vision prophesizing the empire's rebirth. Soon after, while delving into one of the city's many hidden tombs, they discovered a child mummy dressed in the garments of a sun king. Ancient texts proclaimed the mummy Wakena, a legendary child god who commanded magic beyond anything the shamans could imagine. The council promptly put this relic of their ancient power on public display, yet the resulting flood of local pilgrims to the city and stories of fabulous treasures discovered alongside the mummy drew the attention of Chellis colonists in Kalabuto. The colonists attacked Mzali, only to be utterly immolated as the mummy miraculously sprang to life and called down fire from the city. Since his triumphant return, Wakena has ruled Mzali absolutely, with the Council of Mwangi reduced to an advisory role. Beneath his undead gaze, the city buzzes once more with life. Thousands of Mwangi have flocked to serve Wakena, bolstered by the child god's public mission to drive out northern colonizers and unite the expanse under his own flag. Yet his rebirth of home rule is a double-edged sword, for Wakena's policies are far from progressive. Cruel and powerful, the mummy shows blatant favoritism to his supporters and sentences anyone who questions him to the horrific and fatal punishment of the 7 angry suns. Trade with non-Mwangi is banned, and anyone found associating with outsiders without explicit permission is labeled a traitor. These pressures, combined with the fact that the new state of Vidrian recently managed to overthrow its colonialist regime without Wakena's help, have recently drawn many Mzali citizens away from the city, enraging their ruler and resulting in rumors that the child god may be planning an attack against Vidrian. This tension has only intensified in the presence of the Bright Lions, a group of Mzali insurgents who seek to overthrow Wakena and return their city to the people. Located on the banks of the Pasuango River, deep in the Mwangi's remote southern plains, Mzali is a sprawling mass of cathedrals and monuments that become reflected in the water that covers the streets every monsoon season. Knotted trees wrap massive roots around thick curtain walls and stone temple complexes, their shapes often integrated into the architecture, with most major structures surrounded by moats for protection and drainage. In the center of the city, Wakena's temple of the Deathless Child towers above nearby buildings, yet the city is awash in ancient shrines to entities both contemporary and forgotten. Some in active use, and others co-opted to house markets, or tenements. Here we go. As much as a necropolis as a holy city, Mzali also holds dozens of burial mounds, pyramidal tombs dug deep into the earth, with only the capstones visible, the rest of the monuments hidden beneath the foundations of other structures. while Kenna himself has discovered in one such burial mound. Cut. While Kenna himself was discovered in one such burial mound, and despite the danger, opportunistic grave robbers still occasionally sneak past the city's checkpoints in hopes of harvesting valuable relics from these unplumbed crypts. The next area we have is the Nantambu, sometimes called the Songwind City, for the cheerful chimes of colored grass that hang from its every building. Nantambu is a bastion of peace and sophistication. Canals from the Vanji River carry water not just to the city, but through it, demarcating districts in great curving lines topped with graceful arcing bridges. In Nantambu's cosmopolitan markets, spices and magic from across the expanse flow freely. Yet the city needs no defensive walls nor standing armies, for it's guarded by something more powerful than stone or steel. Founded by a legendary magician known as the Old Mage Jatembe, the Magambia is the oldest academy of arcane magic in the Inner Sea region, and perhaps on all of Golarion. Looming over the city's lesser stone buildings, the Academy's ring of 10 terrace towers from Nantambu's heart, each decorated with a massive mosaic of one of the legendary 10 magic warriors. Students from around the world come to study in its storied halls, focusing primarily on the meticulous art of wizardry. Teaching styles from the school vary greatly. Some professors teach only through didactic oral tradition, while others promote the study of ancient text, many penned by Old Mage Jatembe and his disciples. The Academy's teachers are notorious for sojourning in far-off lands and visiting scholars in other nations, meaning students must sometimes travel great distances to access particular mentors. The university also encourages fieldwork, and at any given time, there are more tenured professors conducting research in the far corners of the world than in the school itself. Such professors often send their favorite students abroad to secure or uncover the runes or artifacts they hope to study. In the Magambia, it is said that a wizard learns both by reading and by doing, a philosophy sometimes termed the word and the way. And thus to shut oneself off from the world in perpetual study is at best counterproductive, and at worst, miserly. In Jatembe's tradition, study is ultimately less important than using what you learn to serve others. The Magambian emphasis on service is the source of Nantambu's strength, with the resident mages ensuring that no invading force has ever managed to come within 20 miles of the city. This protection extends to neighboring villages as well, and despite no formal agreements of fealty, more than 100 such settlements gladly and gratefully pay tribute to the city. Supported by the college's faculty, Nantambu's governing council of elected magistrate mayors presides over the city and surrounding territory using the famous Watcher's Stone of the Nantambian Tower to keep magical tabs on Usaro and other threats within the region. Yet Nantambu is far than just an overgrowth of the Magambia. Its reputation for scholarship has led to the establishment of many other prominent schools, teaching everything from science and smithing to Mwangi magical traditions. Small wonder, then, that the city should also host the largest Pathfinder lodge in the Expanse. Famously accepting of strangers, Nantambu's populace boasts dozens of different ancestries, from Ekuje elves to Jaha lizard folk, gnolls, and cat folk. Here one can even find the most reclusive of Mwangi peoples, such as the shy Anadi, many-eyed Goloma, bone-feathered Shisks, or inevitable worshipping Konrasu with their elaborate biological machines and living wooden exoskeletons. Regardless of their strangeness, all entities of goodwill are welcomed in the Songwind City. This hospitality is only increased in the wake of the recent Lake Ocota land rushes, and each passing year sees the city grow more secure in its position as the cultural heart of the Expanse. The next area we have here is the Senghor. The city-state of Senghor has had to make significant changes as of late, most notably due to the overthrow of Sargava and subsequent establishment of Vidrian. Previously, Senghor had a degree of importance as one of the Mwangi's few remaining safe trade hubs and home of the Expanse's most powerful navy. With the fall of Sargava's colonial regime, however, some of that protection is gone, since the free captains once made a tidy profit from Sargava's bribes, now raid the waters around Senghor to compensate for their losses, making trade with former partners a lot more difficult. Senghor's defensive fortifications and dozens of navy ships have kept these pirates from reaching the city proper, but anyone hoping to trade with Senghor nowadays must first wind their way through free captain blockades and a risk few are willing to make. The dominant people of Senghor, called Kaldaru, are unique to this city and have a distinctly different appearance from other Mwangi peoples. They are relatively tall, with green eyes and skin tones that range from olive to dark tan. Their dialect includes several unique words and phrases not found in any other Mwangi tongue. Senghoran mythology suggests that the Kaldaru trace their lineage to a Garundi ancestry that no longer exists, and the unique architecture of the city only reinforces this legend. Though Senghor once willingly traded with Sargava, the Kaldaru have no interest in allowing strangers to gain a foothold in their city. So it was no surprise that they aided the Sargavan Revolution to repel the Chelish colonialists. To keep things agreeable between Senghor and the new nation of Vidrian, the two have cemented a very tentative alliance, the goal of which is to keep colonizers from retaking Vidrian and to prevent any possibility of such outsiders gaining influence within Senghor. The alliance also establishes several trade and naval agreements, with the terms benefiting Senghor more than Vidrian. The people of Vidrian were grateful for Senghor's help in their young nation's earliest days, but it has grown into its independence, or now that it's grown into its independence, its citizens have begun to protest the unbalanced terms of the deal. Vidrian's leaders are pressuring Senghor in hopes of reworking the terms of agreement, but Senghor has yet to give in to these demands, heightening tensions between these two powers. The next area we're going to go into is Usaro. The grim city of Usaro looms over the delta where the Blood River meets Lake Ocota. Its ancient white ziggurats are adorned with grisly decorations made from the remains of the nation's enemies, and its crumbling spires overflow with captured prisoners and slaves. Usaro was once ruled by the Gorilla King, the most favored servant of the demon lord Angazan. But when adventurers killed the Gorilla King, the city fell into chaos. Many of the Gorilla King's minions, including his Derhi lieutenants, Gigantopithecus advisors, and Charuka foot soldiers, scrambled to fill the power vacuum. After several months of infighting, Mualijae elves descended upon the city, taking advantage of the disorder to liberate hundreds of the city's captives. A subsequent orc raid further splintered the city's populace, and when the orcs seized Usaro's totem of Angazan, a minor artifact kept within the city's palace, many of the survivors claimed that the city had lost Angazan's blessing. With the city's remains in a chaotic state, a burgeoning faction seeks to unite Usaro and destroy the city's enemies. led by a Mwangi warrior and Angazan worshipper named Shosenbe. The group calls itself the Chosen and promises to bring vengeance against the Mualijae and Orc tribes. The Chosen have so far deflected further raids on the city. However, Shosenbe is reticent about his motives and allegiances, and some wonder if he truly has ties to the demon lord Angazan or is following his own agenda. The next section we have here is the Vidrian, or is Vidrian, not the Vidrian, excuse me. The colonial nation of Sargava has faced many hardships over the past few decades, ranging from isolation from its parent nation of Chiliacs to constant financial extortion by the free captains of the Shackles. After years of constant adversity, the locals finally chose to enact change in their lands. What began as a small revolt by Mwangi servants and slaves soon became a complete overthrow of the nation's overlords. Some of the colonialists, now several generations removed from the golden age of Chiliacs and disdainful of the state of Sargava at the hands of their kin, found camaraderie among the Mwangi peoples and chose to fight alongside of them. The rebelling forces soon grew to massive numbers and were able to take the capital of Elidur with relative ease, displacing the domineering Baron Utilinus. Unfortunately, the rebels also had to contend with the free captains, who had been exploiting the region. Not content to lose their easy stream of revenue in the form of protection money from Sargava, the free captains waged a bloody battle against the rebels, an ordeal that lasted for over a year. After countless engagements and a hastily written alliance with Senghor, the combined forces of the Mwangi and turncoat colonists successfully drove off the pirates. With the free captains routed, the lands became the new nation of Vidrian in 4717 AR. Today, Vidrian's people work hard to use the advantages and resources that originally drew Chiliacs to colonize the nation to bring the country closer to economic stability. Some use of the ships seized from defeated free captains to trade along the western coast of Garund. Ambassadors have set out in the greater inner sea region to help establish diplomatic ties. They've already found success in Absalom, Andoran, Osirian, and Ravano, and their progress shows no signs of slowing. The scars of colonization still burn the nation, though. Having just toppled the former rulers of Sargava, the people of Vidrian are all too aware of how easy their fledgling society could be reconquered. While all Vidrics agree that steps must be taken to rebuild their country's economy and protect the Mwangi Expanse from being colonized again, such noble goals are easier said than done. The government of Vidrian is a pragmatic collective of disparate influential powers, each with a differing idea on how to guide the country forward, and their disagreements sometimes lead to disorganized gridlock. Diplomatic overtures aimed at other Mwangi nations desire to give up their complete independence. The alliance between Senghor and Vidrian remains untested, and Vidrian's other allies, such as the spider-like Anadi, are reluctant to make military commitments. Worse, the Vidrian's nearest neighbor, the powerful state of Mzali, seems more inclined to view the new nation as a potential threat rather than an ally. The folk of Vidrian are a coalition of disparate Mwangi peoples, united under a common history, cause, and banner. A sizable population of former Sargavan colonists also remains in this nation, protected by law from retaliation. While their aid in the rebellion against their fellows and the free captains earned their citizenship, the stark change in Vidric culture that occurred after the Mwangi natives regained control of their land has resulted in a new source of friction between these two groups. Now, up ahead here, we have a few of the other Mwangi locations. Essentially, these are just ones that they wish to clarify or give more emphasis on, as they are prominent enough to be mentioned in this world guide. We first have Jaha. Unknown architects constructed this massive walled city long before Earthfall. The runes were a point of fascination for the Lijourni astrologers, who originally came to Jaha after the Eye of Abendigo destroyed their homes. Xenophobic and insular, these cultish stargazers traded only reluctantly with outsiders, even other Lijourni. 2 years ago, a coalition of Lijourni, kinfolk and lizardfolk astrologers from the Sodden Lands arrived at Jaha's gates, ready to force the issue and make the city's residents share their secrets. To their surprise, however, they found Jaha empty, its occupiers inexplicably absent. Unnerved but undaunted, the coalition settled into the abandoned ruins, throwing open Jaha's doors for the first time in generations. Today, adventuring scholars are welcome to help the new residents decipher the city's many mysteries, particularly the disappearance of the previous Lijourni occupants. While theories abound, many believe it might have something to do with their strange marker stones erected at various points around the city, or the miles of uncatalogued tunnels beneath its streets. Next, we have the Mualijae Nations, once part of the United Kingdom. Not our United Kingdom. 3 major nations of Mwangi elves, known collectively as the Mualijae, dwell within the jungles of the Mwangi Expanse. In the west, the militant Ekuje serve as feared and revered guardians of the forest, locked in a decade-long guerrilla war with the Aspis Consortium. In the northwest, the Kalijae have long fought to protect local inhabitants, both elven and otherwise, from the predations of Usaro's raiding bands. The Alijae of the northern jungles defend the elven ruins of Nagisa, the White City, from those ignorant explorers who would risk unleashing its entrapped evils. Next, we have Osibu. Hidden deep in the screaming jungle, utopian Osibu is the subject of countless legends, most of them true. Adventurers who make it past the city's defenses, flora and fauna, controlled by a circle of druidic statues called the Twice-Honored Women, find a city paved in gold, its citizens nearly deathless thanks to the magic of their democratically elected leaders. In the city's center is the great arboreal reagent Demari Dji, who has guarded Osibu's so-called nemesis well since before the fall of the Starstone, keeping anyone from entering its unplumbed depths or heeding its sinister whispers. Those who locate the city are greeted warmly, but visitors are not allowed to leave without agreeing to either a Gaius spell being cast upon them that binds them to keep the city's location secret, or an herbal concoction that wipes all memory of the Osibu's location from their minds. It's like an El Dorado it's like an El Dorado. I love it. It's like an El Dorado. Cool. Next, we have the Runes of Ko. The first Shori city to fly, Ko was also the first to fall. In minus 632 AR, this astonishing marvel of magic and technology came crashing down in a remote valley of the Barrier Wall Mountains. Swatted from the sky by the Tarask, greatest of Rovagug's spawn, thousands died in the disaster. The survivors abandoned the wreckage of their home and disappeared into the jungles. Today, Ko is a haunted place. Its shattered domes and crumbling cisterns still sputtering and seething with ancient magic. Marids and other outsiders once bound to serve the Shori claim the runes for their own, battling for supremacy with degenerate Morlocks and fell beasts from the surrounding jungles and mountains. Yet despite the danger and the local Mwangi tribes' refusal to touch the city, the runes remain a major destination for those explorers willing to make the perilous journey in order to claim the long-lost treasures and forgotten knowledge with the city's broken spires and half-buried temples. Last but not least for locations, we have the Sodden Lands. When the permanent hurricane called the Eye of Abednego, formed in the wake of Eridan's death, it catastrophically flooded the coastal nations of Lurgan and Yamasa. Today, the territory is a lawless, storm-racked swamp stalked by monstrous predators, bloodthirsty boggards, and the aggressive lizard folk terroir lords. Most of its original humanoid population has fled, and those who remain have banded together in gangs of survivalists who scavenge the wreckage. Still, disaster always attracts opportunists, and many adventurers travel to the ruined nations, now called the Sodden Lands, to loot cities lost to the storm. One of the few settlements still occupied is Nantambu, Lurgan's former capital, where hundreds of towers built by the ruling Sayak brethren now form tiny islands above the waves, connected by rope bridges and bedeviled by aberrations lurking beneath the water's surface. Alright, next we have the backgrounds available to those from the Mwangi. First up, we have the Bekyar Restorer. Though many Bekyars worship demons, you seek to pave a different path for yourself and your kindred, while also attempting to change other Mwangi's treatment of your culture. Choose 2 ability boosts, one must be Wisdom or Charisma. Your trained Diplomacy and the Abyss lore skill. You gain the Group Impression skill feat. I don't mind it at all. Think it's great. Keep at it. Next, we have the Banuat, Waved Touched. You are a child of the Banuat people, and the sea's assault flows through your veins. You've taken to sailing and swimming gracefully and with ease, earning your honorific Wave Touch title. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be Strength or Wisdom, and one is a free ability boost. Your train Athletics and the Ocean lore skill. You gain the Underwater Marauder skill feat. I would say Sailing lore would definitely be one you'd want to bring up with your GM, because you also sailed to get your title, so might as well, Underwater Marauder, 100%. I think it's wonderful, but I wouldn't say argue, but I would request, I would definitely request Sailing lore, more fitting, especially if you're doing a campaign in Mwangi where you could be traveling in the water, especially lots of river and blah, 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 all that stuff. Next, we have the Bright Lion. You are a member of the Bright Lions and seek to overthrow the tyrannical reign of Walkena and free Mzali from his cruel whims. Your experience operating undercover and have had to be cautious of what you say and who you trust, lest you fall afoul to the God King's terrible punishments. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be Strength or Charisma, and the other one is a free ability boost. Agree, although I think it'd be... I guess if you're a fighter, but Charisma definitely. You're training the Deception skill and the Mzali lore skill, and you gain the Lie to Me skill feat. Very fitting. Very, very fitting. Next, we have the Magambia Academic. You studied magic at the prestigious Magambia Academy in Nantambu. learning magical traditions dating back to Old Mage Jatembe, and earning a pedigree respected by magical scholars almost everywhere. You can choose 2 ability boosts. One must be Intelligence or Charisma. But yeah, I mean, it's a arcane school. I'm not gonna say I would require intelligence, but it'd almost be silly if you didn't use intelligence. But again, you have another free ability boost, so it doesn't matter. You're trained in your choice of either Arcana or Nature, as well as the Academia lore skill. You gain the Recognize Spell skill feat. Excuse me, sorry, I don't know why I struggled with that one. If you're a wizard, obviously you just choose Nature, because you already have Arcana, so you might as well keep going with that. Next, we have the Senghor Sailor. Okay, I see why they didn't want to use the sailing lore for the Banuat Wave Touch, but anyway, that's up to you and your GM. As an experienced sailor from Senghor, you know that the only thing saving you from disaster on the high seas is a properly maintained ship. You know boatside building inside and out, and can even quickly cobble together a situation in the event that something breaks. You can choose 2 ability boosts. One must be Intelligence or Wisdom. You're trained in the crafting skill and the sailing lore skill. You gain the quick repair skill feat. I find all of those very, 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 very fitting. So yeah, I have no issues with this one. The Shori Seeker. You've dedicated your life to unraveling the secrets of the ancient Shori Empire, either through meticulous research or by traveling into dangerous and distant ruins to track down long-lost artifacts. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be Dexterity or Intelligence, and one must be a free ability boost. You're trained in the crafting skill and the Shori lore skill. You gain the Specialty Crafting skill feat. I don't agree with the skill. I think the skill would be, oh my. I think the skill would be Arcana or Survival. I mean, you're trying to find ancient magics and to try, like, your survival, because you're trying to seek out and find this ancient these ancient dungeons and all that stuff. So you're trying to find things, especially crafting. No, I'd have to say I disagree with that one. I mean, if you're going with survival, man, it would be hard to make 2 replacements for it. Dang. Give me 2 seconds. I'm actually gonna look this up right now, because I will not be able to sleep tonight if I don't if I'm gonna say it's not good, I got it, or if I'm gonna say I do something different, I gotta give you something in replacement. Okay, well, survival doesn't really give any good skill feats for what you're doing there. Got it. Society. So with society, we could go with dang. Man, that is rough. Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one. Yikes. That is... Huh. I mean, I guess you could go with Arcana and Arcane Sense. It's gonna be good for looking for ancient relics and stuff. I get, yeah, because it would go along with intelligence. So yeah, I guess I'd replace it with Arcana and Arcane Sense. But that's just me. Next, we have the Sodden Scavenger. You've managed to eke out an existence in the storm-racked Sodden Lands and have become an expert at scavenging food and tools. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be Constitution or Wisdom. You're trained the Survival skill and the Swamp Lore skill. You also gain the Forager feat. Perfecto. I couldn't choose. I mean, those are perfect. Perfect. Also, if you're from the Sodden Lands, I would definitely challenge you as a player to play Lizardfolk. It's almost too perfect. Vidrian Reformer. You know that the only way your homeland of Vidrian can remain free from outside conquerors is by forging a strong and unified government. As such, you seek to bind your fellow citizens together through careful diplomacy and force of personality, or if necessary, subterfuge and intrigue. You choose 2 ability boosts. One must be Dexterity or Charisma, and the other one a free ability boost. You train Diplomacy and Politics lore skill, and you gain the Hobnobber feat. Okay. I think the Hobnobber might not be the best for that. Let me just see real quick here. Oh no, okay, I was thinking about a different one. No, that's great. Yep, that one's perfect. All right, next up we have the Magical Warrior. The Magic Warrior is our dedication, or archetype, whatever you want, our dedication of the Mwangi. You mix magic and martial prowess, following in the tradition of the 10 magic warriors of old mage Jatembe. So first up, we have the Magic Warrior dedication. Prerequisites. You must be able to cast focus spells. And you gain access to this by being from the Mwangi Expanse. So, for those that don't know, in the Advanced Player's Guide, the Ranger got access to focus spells. So you could be a Magic Warrior Ranger, which is pretty cool. Be really strong. You have a martial magic mix. It'd be pretty dope. So you've taken up a nameless mask and sworn the oath of the Magic Warriors. You become trained in your choice of Arcana or Nature, and in the Magic lore. If you are already trained in this skill, you become an expert instead. For that Ranger. You hide for Nature. If you hide your identity behind a mask representing an animal of your choice, corresponding to one of the general animal types in the animal form spell. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to saves against divination effects, though sometimes refusing to remove your mask can cause issues in areas that don't respect or understand the Magic Warrior tradition. Once you take this feat, if another creature ever learns your true face or name, you lose your abilities from this archetype. Close allies who knew of your decision to take the mask before your dedication do not break this taboo unless they tell someone else. To regain your abilities, you must discard your mask and obtain a new one from a different animal. Then retrain Magic Warrior dedication into a new Magic Warrior dedication with your new mask. Your focus spells from the Magic Warrior archetype are the same tradition as your other spells. Choose one if you have spells from multiple traditions. Same special, you cannot choose another dedication feat until you've gained 2 other feats from this Magic Warrior archetype. It's a very, very unique, it's a very unique dedication. It is not for everyone, but again, nothing in, every decision you can make in Pathfinder or every build you can make is not a build that everyone would make. Hence, why it's special. So, next, we have the Magic Warrior Aspect feat available at level 4. The Magic Warrior dedication. You can alter your form to gain an aspect of the animal your mask represents. You gain the Magic Warrior Aspect Focus spell. We'll go ahead and just read that spell here. It is a focus, 2nd level focus spell. It has a 2-action cast somatic verbal. The duration is 5 minutes. You call upon the aspect of your animal from your mask, gaining physical features reminiscent to your animal. You morph slightly into that creature, gain the speeds and senses that you would gain from using animal form to turn to the type of animal your mask represents. These special speeds cannot be increased by status bonuses or item bonuses. So you don't actually physically turn into the creature, you just gain its speeds and its senses, which is, that's really cool. Again, very, oh wait, did I read the wrong one? Magic. No, that was Magic Warrior aspect. Okay. Yeah, very cool. The other feat we have available at level 4 is the Magic Warrior Transformation, which, if I could only guess, let's see here, duration 1 minute, somatic verbal, you transform into the animal of your mask. You gain the effects of animal form heightened to your Magic Warrior Transformations level. And you can only transform into the type of animal that your mask represents. So let me see. Heightened. I just want to clarify that. Heightened to your Magic Warrior's transformation level. So it's a focus spell. So like any other focus spell, it will automatically heighten. So the cool thing about that is, like, let's, again, I'm not trying to play favoritism here or anything. But let's say we have that ranger. We have that ranger who's like, man, I got my focus spells and I want to be a Magic Warrior. Cool. Well, now, that ranger is, I'm not saying they're druid, but, you know, for, let's say that ranger never wanted to become a druid, or, you know, was never, let's say in their backstory, they were never accepted and they tried to go in many times. Well, now they can feel like they're living that dream out, you know, through other means, which is really, really cool. And last but not least, we have nameless anonymity. Feat level 6, your mask protects you from further divination. Once per day, you can cast non-detection on yourself, heightened to the highest of level of spell you can cast. This ends immediately if your mask is removed, even for a moment. So my only thing here with this is I appreciate the no pun intended, the dedication you have to this dedication in terms of this mask. But I think the if another creature ever learns your true face or name, you lose all your abilities from this archetype. That's really punishing. And I would work out something with that player to where, you know, they would need to have an alias name, and there'd have to be very, very few reasons throughout the campaign why a creature would want to know their name or would know that they are a magic warrior. And because it's one thing if they didn't have to wear the mask, but they have to wear the mask, so it's like it's pretty obvious for anyone that knows any better. So I'd work out with your players, or work that out with your player or players if you have multiple people wanting to do this, and come to a resolution there. But with all that said, we're gonna go back and we're gonna look at some of these or some ideas you can. This is for Mr. Oriakin here. Some ideas for the Mwangi Expanse. So, one, definitely look into the 10 magic warriors. I'll go ahead and read that snippet off to you guys. The old mage Matembe is widely regarded as one of the greatest spellcasters in history, having brought humanity out of the age of anguish following Earthfall by reintroducing the art of wizardry, but he did not accomplish all his great deeds alone. Aiding him were his 10 magic warriors, powerful disciples dedicated to protecting the knowledge and people of Garund as civilization struggled to reassert itself In his wisdom, Jatembe challenged his apprentices to give up everything for the sake of their mission, even their own identities, with each warrior wearing a golden mask bearing the visage of a different jungle animal. Story of the magic warriors' exploits abound, such as how they defeated the king of biting ants to liberate the doorway to the Red Star, or aided Jatembe in creating the Ring of 9 Facets. Most importantly, they acted as leaders and teachers for the people of the Mwangi Expanse, founding schools like the Great Magambia in Nantambu. In the end, they disappeared from history, leaving no tombs behind, though scholars have found evidence that one of them, known as Black Heron, was the primary architect of the Shori Empire. With these, so one thing I might do as a GM is, if I have anyone, especially if this is a Mwangi Expanse campaign, if anyone is showing desire to become a magic warrior, you can definitely have them find a mask of one of the old warriors, or maybe a mask calls out to them in their dreams, or maybe the mask haunts them in the form of nightmares until they go out and find it. And of course, you can give them little visual clues of where that might be. They say, oh, you see an obelisk that might, can I make a knowledge recall knowledge nature to see where it's from? And you give them these little clues and this little chase to go into this temple to find a mask of an old warrior, who just so happens to be the same animal as you're playing. So that's an option. In terms of let me think here. What was the other one? The Bloodcove. Oh my goodness. Get the Aspis Consortium involved in this campaign, or get the free captains. Maybe they want to help. Which country was it that was struggling with that? I believe it was Mzali. On the base. Excuse me, I'm not. Let me see. Okay. You might want to make some content around Senghor trying to reestablish trade. Make a one thing I love to do as a GM that players love is they love to change history for good, right? So one thing that they might be able to do is, imagine how the players would feel if they brought down the free captains once and for all. Senghor would be a country or the city-state of Senghor would be more than happy to assist them if they felt like they were making real change. Plus, it'd be a way for your players to come up with inventive ways, are the free captains have an island that they all come together on, or is it just like a port? You can run some, I'm not gonna say pirate style campaign, but in terms of like they can have a ship. Players love having a base of operations. You make that a ship that they can upgrade, and I know that Pathfinder, as far as I know, I'd have to check the Advanced Player's Guide, but yeah. So, with the Advanced Player's Guide, be right back. All right, with the players love players love having that base of operations. Have a ship that they can upgrade, deck out, and make it look awesome. All that stuff. The rules for vehicles can be found in the game mastery guide, and you don't have to go over the top with cannons do this much damage and just make it fun. In terms of combat, you know, make it to where the most optimal way to win a ship battle is to, you know, make them feel like freaking heroes. Make them, you know, they gotta jump, or, you know, if they're, you know, level 9 or above, you know, make them fly over there, you know, cast fly, or make them water walk, you know, or give them boots of water walk that allow them to just, you know, charge over across the water, you know, do some really fun, cool shit. And have them, you know, make them feel cool. You know, obviously make it challenging. Especially, I mean, taking down an entire faction is no easy task, and it should not be. But make it to where it's doable. And, you know, again, allow your players to, like, straight up change history. This, for sure... another great avenue that you can use for designing content in Mwangi Expanse, Mzali. Oh my goodness, a God King kid? Are you for real? Like Walkena, this kid Walkena? Who is this kid? Take him down! Take him down! I ain't even gonna give him the chance. I'm about to end this man's whole career. You know, let the you know, it's another thing, you know, because a lot of the nations around don't, even people within Mzali are, you know, the Bright Lions. They want to see him down, you know, so especially if you have a player who is a Bright Lion, you know, perhaps that is an avenue that they may be able to accomplish. You know, the dream of the Bright Lion is to destroy Walkena, you know, because he is someone, as much as great as it was that he protected the lands, he's now become a tyrannical leader. And we've had plenty of other undead tyrannical leaders, and that only led to great things, right, Ustalav? So, you know, just let's say, you know, the God King, the Walkena, this child God King. Take this kid out, man. Lake Ocota. Like, you can feel free to go ham. Absolutely ham in this region. You can have, like, demonic lake monsters, demon-tainted orcs, and, like, all this crazy stuff. You know, look... Another thing you do is with Lake Ocota, you know, you have Usaro, this place with the Chosen, this new up and coming group that what was this guy's name? Wanji were Shosenbei. You can have content that you know, him and the Chosen. Maybe there are some explorers and all that stuff, or there's a reason to go to Lake Ocota. Maybe there's this relic in the water, or this ancient item, this artifact in the water that's come to essentially start to, like, be passed around as rumor, and then the rumors are somewhat confirmed and someone spots it. But before they can get any closer, of course, there's these water creatures, these aquatic creatures defending it, because it's kept them safe for so long or something. You can have an underwater temple, like, oh, come on, man, like, the endless, you know, you could go nuts with it. Have maybe the you know, Shosenbei and the Chosen, it's a race against the Chosen to get the artifact in the water, and they even taint the aquatic creatures with, you know, maybe Angazan has given Shosenbei the power to taint creatures that he defeats and re-raise them as demons. You know, it's like, you go crazy with it. But yeah, have fun with it. And one thing I'd definitely say is really convey this sense of bountifulness. Like, I wouldn't say make it to where players that aren't from the Mwangi, you know, feel like their home sucks. But make it to where, you know, the players can clearly feel that aren't from the Mwangi, these player characters go, man, I could see why, you know, settlements, you know, come from out of nowhere by themselves. There's so much here. There's so much here. This enormous rainforest. In terms of size, I believe let's see. So 150 miles. We're talking about like 1, 2. This is a rough measurement. So almost like 600 by 600. So almost 3,600 miles, square miles, of jungle. That's a lot of jungle. Even my rough little finger measurement calculations are off on my screen, you can easily say 500 by 500. So 2,500 square miles of deciduous forest? Just the dense forest and jungle. You know, in our real world, for those that don't know, 93% of species on our planet Earth come from the rainforest. 93%. So, you know, when you're presenting creatures, if you're gonna set up a campaign here in the Mwangi, make it to where they see some of the weirdest shit, or, you know, what you could call like the original species. So maybe they've seen eagles, but maybe they haven't seen what eagles, like the eagles that migrated north, came from. You know, or like, again, granted, like the desert is just north of here, or just north of the Mwangi Expanse. But like, you know what I'm getting at is, you know, make it to where they see all these creatures that just are gorgeous, and the color, like you really need to put color if you're gonna do a playthrough in the Mwangi Expanse. Like there needs to be, you know, bright oranges, bright blues, bright purples, and, you know, not that everything has to be a neon rave party, but in the jungle, I mean, you have a lot of untouched nature. And so, you know, the most beautiful things grow in those kind of environments and climates. And also, based on the area, like definitely, you know, be sure that it rains at least 4 days out of the week. You know, depending on the time of year. Like, there's a lot of rain. It's rainforest, low, you know, jungle / rainforest, whatever, you know. Rule it how you will, play it how you will. You're the GM here, not me. So with that wraps up my campaign ideas / adventure ideas / 2 cents on the Mwangi Expanse. Thanks for sticking around. If you liked what you saw and heard today, please be sure to go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. I will read those comments, so please comment away. And when it comes to that bell, especially if you're already subscribed and you're a Cardinal, peck that bell with that beak. Make sure you're up to date with all the content available that I put out on this platform. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.